So after skipping out on food and many months of farming, I finally saved up enough extra cash to get myself maxed out on Shaiya. Except too bad now there's even more overpowered crap, you son of a... Hey everyone, I'm Mog, and in this video I'm going to be taking you through the beginning and final stages of Shaiya. So let's begin with character select. When you start off on Shaiya, there are two modes to select from. Basic mode, which is free to play, and ultimate mode, which is pay to play. Pay to play is definitely better as you gain more stat points, skill points, and better abilities as you level up. Whether you pick Light or Fury, there are a total of 6 classes with 12 different names based on the faction. You want to be a warrior? That's fighter. You want to be a mage? That's pagan. You want to be an assassin? That's ranger. Point is, some classes have different names depending on your faction. Now, when you get into the actual game itself, you start off like any other typical MMORPG. You kill monsters, accept quests, and hopefully you'll grind your way up to level 80. So are the quests interesting? Is there a story to your character? Are there any cutscenes? No, not really. You just grind and get to level 80. And then once you're level 80, you'll be met with a decision of going pay to win or probably quitting the game, assuming you actually made it this far. So the reason why it's either pay to win or quit is because Shaiya has very little to offer you except PvP. Most of the bosses that you can solo or kill with a small group without maxed out gear are borderline worthless. There's barely any co-op dungeons you can do that's worth it. Boss dungeons that takes forever to respawn. PvE events and quests are typically boring, which includes you spending hours killing or hitting a monster over and over. The game is heavily pay to win. There's so much more. But to actually start PvP or even decent PvE, you need to be maxed out. If you're not maxed out, you'll most likely be either excluded from raids or you'll just end up being kicked and replaced by someone else whenever they need room. So what's it take to be maxed out? Well, let's take a look. Here's one piece of armor with maxed out stats. There are a total of 6 slots you need to link a lapis into, enchant of level 20, and a maxed out bonus stats for HP and whatever else specified for your class. But in order for you to link the lapises, chances are you're gonna need a perfect linking hammer for each lapis. And if you fail to link one of those, well, there goes like $12 you just spent. So finally, if you followed all of these steps, congratulations. You maxed out one piece of armor you'll need to join PvP. And now you just gotta do this for the rest of your equipment. So now that you maxed out your one character, you gotta be able to maintain them as well. If you play as an ultimate mode character, you're gonna need 2 items. One of them prevents you from being deleted upon death, and the other one prevents you from dropping items. So you now should be ready for PvP, but not really, because depending on your class and status, the rate of Shaiya is limited to a total of 30 players, and if you're not a relevant class or a player of higher ranking, you'll most likely be excluded from PvP. Let's move on to content. Leveling. When it comes to leveling in Shaiya, it's extremely grindy and almost forces you to party up with players by the time you reach level 40. Mobs get insanely difficult and the free junk Shaiya provides you will no longer be efficient to kill mobs. PvE and farming. In Shaiya, when it comes to PvE, it's very tedious grind for little reward. But if you're lucky, you may earn something that will cover up about 1% towards a perfect linking hammer. Don't get me wrong though, there are a lot of bosses you can fight, however a majority of the profitable bosses require you to be maxed out and or be in a raid to actually kill it for you to reap the rewards and bonus. Well, if you actually get the drop. So aside from bosses, there are other ways you can make money as well, just very little if you're not maxed out. Did you know that you can farm earth alchemy powders? That's right, if you spend like months collecting these powders, you can convert them into a quest item and then convert the quest items into another quest item for you to trade in for some cash up stuff. But not to worry, if you're really desperate to make money, you can always sell power leveling. Just keep in mind you're essentially selling hours of your time in a video game to what is equivalent to 30 cents per hour. PvP. So now that we got leveling out of the way and all the boring crap, PvP in Shaiya is without doubt very fun. The main aspects of PvP includes many mechanics like element switching, knowing who to focus, targeting, timing, and much more. Performance. When it comes to performance in Shaiya, you're sitting at around 20 to 30 FPS, even with low graphics settings turned on. Quality. So in terms of quality, the graphics and design of Shaiya is actually pretty cool, however the game itself is so outdated it's kind of ridiculous. Characters on screen constantly bugs out, players getting stuck on invisible objects, no splitting option when you take stuff out of the warehouse so it forces you to take out an entire stack, NPCs missing their names, false and outdated descriptions, attackable objects being stuck in walls, outdated messages that are still not translated to English, and many more. Quality of life. When it comes to Shaiya, you won't notice all the inconveniences until you reach endgame, and that's when it all hits you. Endgame potions barely heal you, so you're forced to use mainly cash out potions. Selling or transferring cash shop items like pets, costume, and wings requires you to pay an additional $15 just to have a staff member drag it from your account to someone else's. If you try to dye a costume, it will dye your skin color as well. Not being able to use your entire warehouse without a cash item. Community. Being in the Shaiya community is kinda like being in an abusive relationship with a partner you will never satisfy. Whether it's the players you interact with or the service, there's always something that will make you question why you still play this. Oh, you spent a few $100s on our mystery box to get one of our latest costumes with overpowered stats? Here's a new costume for you to win with even more overpowered stats. You have a pet that gives you more bonus crit damage? Well, we're gonna release a newer pet with even higher crit damage. Cash out potions not healing enough? Here's the new cash out potions that's completely useless. Shaiya has a very loyal fanbase despite all the legitimate complaints. There are a ton of whales easily spending hundreds of dollars per month, and there are volunteers that don't get paid to help keep the game alive. Overall, I guess the Shaiya community does provide a positive outcome. However, there are a lot of negatives about it as well, such as the money grabbing pay to win, errors in announcements, the usual trolls in every other game, scammers, and events that never deliver what was actually promised. Seriously, this event was from 2020 and they still haven't picked a winner. This was literally announced on a webpage they made, and they're just gonna pretend this never happened. And finally, one of the worst things about the Shaiya community would be some of its players. Say you've done everything the game wanted. You maxed out your character, you paid for AP, you grinded for years to get your equipment, and now you're excited and eager to join PvP. Well, too bad, because the raid leader thinks you're not experienced or skilled enough to join PvP. Now you're excluded from the raid while they have at least 6 spots still available. And then when they fail to gather enough players for PvP, they blame the game for being dead. Are you So, should you play Shaiya? Well, unless you got a lot of money laying around and can't think of anything else better to spend on, love dealing with inconveniences, disappointments of never getting events paid out, mystery box ripping you off, constant lag, no, Shaiya is not worth playing, at least not right now until they fixed everything. I do want to see this game grow and be around, but as of right now I cannot recommend Shaiya to anyone.